example 4, if you have your red pen, you can go on this original graph. And over top of the dotted line that they have, you can draw it in red pen with a dotted line. Again, we'll try to make our asymptotes always with a red pen. We'll read the question. Describe how the graph could have been translated to create the graph of each function below, and then what are the equations of the asymptotes. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take out my highlighter here, and I'm going to highlight the word describe. And this is helping you get ready for your exam at the end of the year, and also for tests and quizzes. If you have the word describe or explain, they require that you use words and not math to say your answer. So there is a push in education to improve literacy and numeracy. As far as improving literacy, they look, what are ways in mathematics that we can have more writing, more explaining, more communicating? So we have that with describe. In math, we have the numeracy thing pretty, we don't have to add any more number stuff. We're doing quite a bit already. So we have these describe questions. So in part A, well, first of all, can you see that in part A, you could move the 3 over. And I'm just going to do some observations here. Do you see that what I've circled in blue, that was the original function? And we have to decide, first of all, now there's a plus 3. Is that plus 3 inside the function or outside of the function? It's outside. So we now know that that moves it up and down, and that plus 3 would move it up 3 units. How would we describe that in words? The graph is translated three units up. I reread the question. I've now done the description part. The second sentence says, what are the equations of the asymptotes? Of the image graph. So the image graph is your final graph. It's been moved 3 units up. You don't actually have to graph it if you can visualize. Can you visualize this moving 3 units up? And can you think about how your dotted lines and reds would change? Can you see that the x equals 1, if it moved up 3, would still stay at x equals 0, because it's a vertical line. But my horizontal one at y equals 0, it would change if I moved it up 3. It would now be at y equals 3. So I reread the question one more time. I've answered all the parts that they were looking for. I can now go on to part B. Part B, again, I would take the time to rewrite it with the 4 on the other side. And thinking about my original function, which was 1 over x squared, I now see that there's a 3 inside where the x was, and there's a 4 outside. So when I go to describe that, the graph has been translated. The 3 would be 3 units left, and the minus 4 4 units down. So again, we recognize what's inside, what's outside, and then be able to describe up and down, respectively. Now, can you imagine your asymptotes? Moving left and right is going to change the x equals 1. Moving it 3 units to the left, your asymptote will be at x equals minus 1. Moving it 4 units down will change the horizontal one. Instead of y equals 0, it will now be at y equals minus 4. Questions for practice on this one? 16 and 17. So I'm going to give you a little bit of time right now to go to those circled questions in your homework, to start it, right? Sometimes if you read a question and it seems really easy, you might want to skip it. Try to find the ones that are be like, this is a bit of a challenge. Try those ones first. If you try one that's too challenging, then go back to some easier ones to build up your confidence. You'll notice in the homework as well that when you want to check your answers, you don't have to turn to the back of this book. Once the exercises are done, so the exercises start on page 169, they go to page 175, but then all of the answers are the next page on 176, which is really nice. And I would recommend, if you do a question, to check the answer, make sure you're doing the right thing. Because I've seen, especially students in grade 9, I've seen them do the wrong thing, then they do 50 questions doing the wrong thing. And they get really good at that mistake, because they've practiced it 50 times. Then they check their answers and like, oh, they're all wrong. What do you think they're going to do on the test then? They're going to make that same mistake that they got really good at. So check your answers often, and I'll give you some time to work on that right now.